Hello friends, in this tutorial we will talk about structures using an example. So let's say we want to store information of students using structure. So before we understand this particular program, let's understand what is structure. So let's say with respect to this particular example, we want to store information related to students. So students can have different attributes like name of the student, roll number of a student, age, total marks for a particular examination, and so on. So what we can do, we can club, and definitely for all these variables different data types are required. So what we can do, we can club all these different attributes along with their data types in one new big variable, right? And that is nothing but our structure. So now struct student, and then we can talk about all the attributes along with their data types, and by doing this we are creating one new data type of type structure. Now after completion of line 7 to 12, memory won't be allocated for this new big variable. Okay, this is just what do you say, data type of variable. Whenever we declare a variable, then only the memory will be allocated. So it's like if you write down int, then no memory will be allocated, but if you write down int a, then only memory will be allocated. So it's like that only. So after this new data type is created, but no memory allocation is done. Now whenever you declare a variable of type structure, then corresponding memory will be allocated. So that will happen here. So you can see here, this is struct student. So this is nothing but the structure which we have already defined, and after that we are writing down one variable. This variable is of type array, right? So these rules are normal rules, using normal traditional rules for what do you say, defining variables. You can define variable of type structure also, right? So you can write down here anything. It can be array, it can be just single variable, right? Depending upon your requirement. So here my requirement is I want to store information of students. So students will be definitely more than one. It can be of size n in general, right? For simplicity I am taking n is equal to 2, but in general it can be of size anything, right? So therefore I have taken this array as a variable. And now this is so far what we have done. We have just created one new data type of type structure, and we have declared the corresponding variables. But the inside of this particular structure there is no information. So what we need to do, we need to fill this particular structure, right? It's like we have created one table, but in that particular table only the header attributes are there, and there are no values corresponding to those attributes. So for that we can use our standard scanf operation to take values from the user, but the important thing is dot operator. So using dot operator, what we can do, we can access to the individual attribute or individual variables of this particular structure. So for example, if you want to access name, then what you need to do, you need to write down student I will be 0 initially, dot name. So by using this dot operator, you will be able to access the individual variable of this. You can access and you can actually assign values to these variables. So it's like by doing this, what we are doing, we are filling rows of this particular table, right? So this is first row, then we'll go to the second row, and so on. So after this, what will happen, our table is filled, and now what we want to do, we want to just display it. So again, using this simple printf, we can print all the values of this particular structure. But again, here we are going to use this dot operator. And the last thing what I want to do is, let's say I've filled this particular table, but now I want to find out what is the average percentage for this particular class. Okay, so assume that this total marks is corresponding to percentage of a particular skill. So let's say the next task is to find out the average percentage of the class So for that, what we can do? So for that particular purpose, I have defined this particular function. Let's say average percentage, and the return type of this particular function is float. And what we are going to do, we are going to sum all the percentage and then divide by total number of students. So I have taken the simplest possible case, so only 2 students, and I have added their percentage and then divide by 2, and then return the value, and then I'm going to print that particular value. That will be the average percentage. So the idea is we can use functions in order to do computations related to our stored structure, right? So for example, this marks are already stored in our structure, and we are going to use them for a specified purpose. For example, here we are finding out average, but in general we can do anything. For example, you can also perform this operation to find out all the students who have scored less than 50, or let's say all the students who have scored more than 90, right, and so on. So using functions, you can actually access all the attributes of the underlying structure. Now let's check the output of this particular code. So this is the output of the program. As you can see, I have taken 2 students, and the program is storing the records of these 2 students and also calculating the average percentage of the class correctly. Thank you. Subscribe to my channel for more videos.